Hi there, my name is Cheney Petro. You might recognize me from some of my previous graphic fables, such as Death's Footsteps, Four Arms, and The Shadow Beast. Today I'd like to present my new graphic fable, The Emerald Beetle. The Emerald Beetle follows the storyline of a young maiden. She's beautiful and poised and elegant. Unfortunately, her grandfather has complete control over her and she has no freedom. She is locked in her room every day where she is forced to practice her painting, her calligraphy, and dancing. But one day a Japanese beetle flies under her brush, and when the ink touches him, the maiden realizes that she has the power to transform. And she writes the Japanese character for man onto him, and he transforms and comes to life. The Emerald Beetle is a fable about when you take something wild and you change into something unnatural. Whether that's a beetle into a man or the lovely spirit of a woman and confining her. The Emerald Beetle is illustrated by Tina Jang, and when I saw her work, I was captured by the elegance and grace, the way her characters seem to be just floating in air. And there are these beautiful scenes that Tina has created between the two lovers, this tenderness and purity that only exists in this internal world. Originally, the Beetle Man wasn't actually going to be wearing a mask, but Tina had these wonderful designs from some of her previous illustrations, and I thought it was this wonderful way of showing the external doesn't always reflect the internal. I'd like to introduce the characters of the Emerald Beetle. The maiden is a beautiful and delicate creature. She's been groomed and raised from a very young age to be silent and beautiful, a thing to be looked at but have no opinion and no voice. Through the Beetle Man, the maiden is actually able to transform and change her world. She can't change it as a woman in her culture or in her time period, but through the Beetle Man, she can write the character for strength on him, and he's able to pick up things and move them. And while she may not be able to speak to ask her grandfather for her hand in marriage, she can write the character for speech onto the Beetle Man, and he can open his mouth and ask instead. The grandfather is a strict, stern figure. He's trying to do what he thinks is best for the maiden. Unfortunately, it limits her freedom and her creativity. The Beetle Man is an interesting character. Originally, he was a beetle. Life was simple and easy. Now he's in the body of a man, and he has a woman in love with him. And this brings up another motif where, just as the maiden's freedom has been taken away by her grandfather and by society, has she too taken away the Beetle Man's freedom. One of the events in the Emerald Beetle has to do with a scene where the maiden has started to fall in love with the Beetle Man, and one night she picks up her brush and carefully she begins to write the character for love onto the Beetle Man's chest. Of course, the Beetle Man immediately falls in love with her. He has no control over what happens when the ink is written on his skin. But later in the storyline, there comes a moment when the maiden is forced to consider the fact that maybe the Beetle Man doesn't actually love her. Maybe it's only the ink written onto him. At some point in the story, the maiden is confronted with the fact that ink doesn't last forever. Her brushstrokes will fade, and the world that she has built is going to start falling apart. Fables are really important to me because there is this old knowledge that's contained within this simple storyline structure. And while the surface might be very basic and easy to understand, when you start digging deeper and pulling out different elements and asking yourself, what does this represent to me? I think that's the real benefit, the true treasure of these stories. Thank you for watching this video, and for any financial support that you can offer, or if you can just spread the word. Thank you.